What's going on, everyone? It's Nina Infinity. Welcome to my channel. Tonight, this is Breaking the Narrative, and I have with me my special guest, Jeff, who's waiting patiently in the back, and I'm going to bring him in. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we are simulcasting on Rumble, so make sure you smash the like, share the stream, all that good stuff. If you have questions for Jeff, make sure you send them in. And before we get started, I had a really, really early Rumble rant from Braz Monkey, the brazziest monkey of all, saying Happy Thanksgiving, Japan Fun for $10. So thank you so much for that, Braz Monkey. And this is going to be a really special show because Jeff has a movie out right now for Thanksgiving. It's called Thanksgiving, and it's not the usual movie you usually see about Thanksgiving, kindness, gathering, being grateful for being alive. Because this movie kills you. They kill you in this movie. Okay, here we go. Without further ado, it's Jeff Teravainen. What's going on, Jeff? Hi.
Hey, how you doing, Nina?
Hi, I'm doing good. I just, for people that don't know, I got to know Jeff through doing a stream on PJ Orville Nation's channel on a little series called Dark Matter. It's a sci-fi series that I'm a huge fan of, and Jeff was part of that series, and he was an actor on the series, and he came on, so we got to chat it up about that series, and that was really fun. And so that's how I got to know him, and that's why he's here tonight. But Jeff, for those people that don't know, please introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are.
Well, I'm an actor. We got to know each other on that show, and we were talking Dark Matter, which was one of my favorite shows I worked on. I was very fortunate to be part of that one on the Sci-Fi Network and that. And I've been doing it for 20 odd years now. I think another highlight for me is I play Sam Fisher in Rainbow Six Siege and other games like that as well, of the Splinter Cell fame. So it's been a good run.
It's really cool. I mean, I was going to ask you so many questions about Rainbow Six as well, because I mean, this is really cool. You're like, you're kind of a man of all talents. You do acting, you do voice acting. Can you give us a little bit of a lowdown on what it's like to do this kind of thing? What is it like to be a voice actor in this day and age? And I mean, I see those things on your head. Like you're not just voice acting, you're also acting.
Yeah, I mean, things have really kind of changed in the last while because there's so much emphasis on the mocap or performance capture, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they make you wear the funny suit, as I see you got up there, the big thing on your head, which actually goes out to about here. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting way to do it, but there's hardly any sets. So it's like doing a play rehearsal where there's just you and some some guns that are made out of wood and whatever, and you act the scenes just like you would in a movie. It's just that it all gets painted on afterwards. But they're able to capture your performances in an unbelievable way. I think it was Far Cry 3 when they took a huge step on the eyes because they could get the movements down on a lot of things, but they had this thing they called Deadeye.
Mm-hmm.
And that revolutionized gaming. Suddenly, people were emoting like they would in real life, and it really ramped up the level of, I don't know, cinema style games.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of that. That was a long answer for that. I apologize.
No, that's really cool. I'm so fascinated by it because I always wanted to be a voice actor. That was one of the things that I've wanted to do early on in my life. I was like, I want to be a voice actor, especially for anime, because I'm such a huge anime fan. I don't know if you can tell or not, but
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a fan. So I was always like really into it. And I feel like it has really changed. And I think that's a really fascinating thing. Now, what got you into acting in general? Like, is that something you wanted to do all your life, or how did you get into it?
I would say that, like a lot of kids, I would fantasize about it. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I'm old, and I remember watching Kurt Russell in Disney movies when I was a kid. And you'd go home and you'd act them out and all that kind of stuff, and you'd be inspired by it. But
Mm-hmm.
in Canada, it was such a faraway dream to be, to imagine being an actor. And I was in music, so I put my music forward, and we did that, and we came really close to doing some great things. But I'd always hoped that the music would end up doing acting from that, maybe get good opportunities because I'd see other people I knew and worked with doing that. But we were always this close and then never made it the way we wanted to. So,
Was it a band or like what do you play?
yeah, I mean, I was a singer and played different instruments, but probably the best one we had was I was the bassist. It was a real funky rock band, so it was
Ooh.
fun to play. And then I did a solo record and we had a deal and that fell apart. As it just wasn't meant to be. But in some ways, maybe it's better because I'm not, an old dude on the road trying to make a living all these years later in casinos.
Sure. I
But
mean, it has pluses, I guess. I mean, there's groupies and stuff. I don't know. Is that a plus? I don't know if that's a plus anymore because everybody's getting me too. So that never mind. Never mind. Scratch that. But you know what? A singer, like you're a man after my heart because it's just I think any man that can sing is like it's a bonus. Let's just say that. Now, do you have a girlfriend? Are you married? Are you involved with someone? Do you sing for them?
I'm married. Yeah, it's
You,
a long
Does
time.
does your wife love the fact that you sing?
I don't think so, but I don't know if I've ever sang to.
Well,
It's
you
not like
never
an Elvis
sang
movie.
like any sort of Christmas song for her or something like that?
I'm trying to think. I've probably done some things when I was drinking. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Like my daughter, she sings like an angel. I swear. Like she got
Oh,
a gene, and I don't know. So she's kind of taken over that mantle. She's around the
that's
house.
amazing. I love that so much. Now, are you singing anything for this movie that you've done? Or is there some sort of stabby song? My God, this movie looks so scary. Oh my God. Okay, first of all, let me get this little super chat here from John Burns with 279. It says, shout out for Jeff. I'm a big fan of Dark Matter. Dark Matter is amazing. If you guys have not seen it, make sure you check it out. It's a really, really good series, although it needs an ending. Still mad.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
still
yes.
mad about that. I don't think I'll ever get over it. Now here's a little thing I found earlier tonight. I just wanted to share this with you before we get into the nitty gritty of things. I think this is hilarious. It's already got an action figure. So here it is. Uh, Thanksgiving the movie. I wonder if you're going to get an action figure for this because this is fascinating.
Yeah, I wonder. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, so far they've used me in all the trailers and stuff, so I'm hoping that the love will keep coming.
Amazing, amazing. So okay, let's get into this movie. First of all, I know you're Canadian, and so am I. So our Thanksgiving was October, and it's already passed. But happy Thanksgiving,
Right.
either way, because tomorrow is the American people's Thanksgiving, and that's the one I celebrate because I had to pick one, Jeff. I was like, I can't do two. Like, I'm just gonna pick the American one and go forward. But the thing that is really crazy to me about this movie is that it's not really like the traditional kind of Thanksgiving movie. I would have never thought about a movie like this. But it's from Grindhouse. So they used to do these kind of trailers where they kind of made like mock movies. And this is a mock movie. This is a movie from the trailer.
Maybe from the
So
month.
yeah, yeah. And so I guess my question to you is, what was it like to work with Eli Roth?
It was honestly, and again, I think most actors are going to say the standard as he's a lovely guy and blah blah blah. It was such a great, but honestly, it was such a freaking amazing experience.
Mhm.
He is such a fun guy and an actor's director who, as an actor himself, knows what actors need.
Mhm.
He communicates in an amazing way, which I can tell you, like, there's some great directors out there that have not a clue how to deal with actors. They're great at the big picture, but
Mhm.
actors by and large are sensitive people, and you know, sometimes you just go off and you shoot a scene and you stand there wondering, was anything out of that good or what? Because you don't get any feedback, and you leave the set going, oh my god, I'm like, and then you find out later that the director loved it, but they just didn't bother to give you any direction. Really, they're worried about
Yeah.
the next shot. So, but with Eli, he was just right out of the gate. He was a super warm guy. When I first met him, there's a crazy story about that too. But when I first met him, I was nervous, and because I kind of had this vision of what he was like from seeing him in other acting roles,
Mm-hmm.
Intense and all that kind of stuff, like the Bear Jew and all that kind of stuff, and Inglorious
Mm-hmm.
Bastards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, nothing like that. And it was the same with Dark Matter. If you remember Alex Malari Jr.'s character, he was badass, you know.
Yeah.
That's how I expected him to be when I first met him. And of course, Alex is the nicest friggin' guy in the world. Him and I, like, best buddies now. But again, I expected him to be this cold, methodical jerk. Wasn't at all. So once again, yeah, with Eli, it was the same sort of thing. He was just a great guy to deal with. He put me at ease right away. I had another issue that day, but I don't know how much time you got, or you want to hear
that. We've got all plenty of time. Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a crazy story. So you know, I'm always nervous getting to a set. You never know what you're going to deal with, and of course,
sure.
I'm in the first scene of the movie being shot. Everybody's excited. There's tension in the air, but it's good. And we're about to shoot the scene. I just met Patrick Dempsey for the first time, and they have us against the car, and it's just a little fast conversation. And they're doing, you know, how they shoot all the stuff on this side, and then they'll turn the cameras around and they'll do it that way. So we're doing Patrick's coverage, you know, and I think I got through one take, and suddenly I got like pain, like I can't even tell you, in my neck, down my back, down my left arm, and to the point where I was having trouble breathing.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it was unbelievable. I'm trying to keep a face on, like, okay, Jeff, let's just get you to stand here and we'll run it again. I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm having a heart attack.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what it kind of sounds like. Oh no.
Yeah, honestly, it was crazy. So somehow I got through that, and they were gonna start pushing in. So they were have to change the lenses on the camera. So I had, 20 minutes. So I went to go see the medic. And as I was going to the medic panicking, I realized that if I went like this, I could breathe better. The pain went away. Not went away, but better. So we went to see the medic, and sure enough, he's like, okay, you don't have a heart attack, but something's going on here. In the end, what happened was I had multiple pinched nerves and a slipped disc in my neck. That happened right during the first scene. It was 2 months of, absolute insane pain. I was in the hospital the next day for this, and I went to set for another 20 more days, but they gave me all these crazy drugs that wouldn't make me drowsy but tried to help with the pain. And it was funny because I tried to keep it a secret from everybody on set, but the word started getting out because the sound guy said, "Are you okay, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And he goes, "Because in between takes you're like, oh." But again, Eli was so amazing. When he found out, he was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm thinking they're gonna fire me, man. We're only like a day and a half into this thing. And,
no.
No, and he couldn't have been nice. He's like, "Jeff, you can't tell. Don't worry. Like, get yourself better, but like, don't worry. You can't see it," which was such a relief because, there was scenes in there where, I had to stand for a long time because you're covering like 5 people in a room.
Yeah.
And for the first 1 or 2 takes, I was okay. And all of a sudden it was like the sweat's coming down because the pain was so bad. And I got to stand in this position. But I think it worked because my character's such a, he's kind of stoic, and he's a mean son of a bitch at times too. So
nice. Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, that story's crazy, and obviously you're a pro, like, because you can. I was watching the trailer, and I can't tell that you're in pain unless you're acting like you're in pain or something. But that, like, this story reminded me of that episode of Friends when Joey has a hernia. I don't know if you've ever seen that episode.
And like,
yeah, he has a hernia and he has to go in for like some acting gig, and like he's like, "Oh, do you mind if I like just stick my hand down here and like go like this, like between takes?"
I don't remember that. No, actually.
And he's like, and the director's like, "Yeah, that's fine." And he's just like, because he's supposed to he's like a dying guy. And he's like telling his son, like, his line is like, take good care of your mama, son. So he'll be like, "Oh," and then he'd like turn and be like, "Take good care of your mama, son." And then like, they'd be like, "Cut." And then he'd be like, "Oh." So it reminds me of that, because I think all actors kind of probably go through something like that at some point if they get injured or something, because you're going to have to suck it up and act act like the part.
I always say, somebody years ago said it to me, use it. Whatever it is, use it. So I always tell myself, if I'm in trouble or something, like, use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a little weird to use, but I was using it anyways.
The movie is doing really well. Now, my thing is that I don't like horror movies. Like I'm just one of those girls that's like, okay, not that I don't like horror movies. Let me rephrase. I don't like gore and
Mhm.
blood because I'm more of a like a psychological horror kind of girl. Like I like The Omen and I like, those kind of like Rosemary's Baby and like, those very like psychological horror kind of things. So I'm
I'm
like
with
that
you.
kind of person, not like a slasher thing. Like I don't know if you caught our stream the other night on Midnight's Edge, but we were talking about the movie on Monday because I was announcing the stream and I produced that show. So I was talking about it and we watched the trailer and we were all reacting to it because I hadn't really seen the trailer either. And it was like, oh my God, that one scene where the girl like gets stuck to the freezer and she's like trying to take her finger off. And I was just like, we were like, oh my God. Like all the girls were like, no, we can't even watch this because it looks so scary. So, oh my God. Tell me about filming these scary scenes and what is it like working on a horror set like that? Is it always scary? Are you always scared?
Yeah, I've thought the same thing over the years, and I think this is my first horror movie. If it's not, I don't remember doing another one right now. But yeah, I guess every set's going to be different, right? But
Mhm.
Eli Roth again, um, from the top down, creates this environment where everybody's happy to be on set. Now, I would agree with you. My personal favorite stuff, The Omen. This is one of my favorite movies. I love that. Hereditary, those kind of things. They scare the freaking hell out of me.
Mhm.
Slashers, though, I do like from when I was a kid. And here's the thing with this movie, it never really takes itself too seriously. So there's a comedic element throughout the whole film where I've kind of likened it to people like it's like you're at a fun themed thrill park. You go somewhere and there's roller coasters that'll scare you, but at the same point there's other things that are funny and whatever. And
Mhm.
at the end of the movie, you leave probably like you had some good moments on those roller coasters and everything else, but you're not damaged. Whereas if I go to
Right.
the Hereditary Park, I'm not going to go in my basement for 2 nights. You're gonna-
Exactly. Dude, I can't even watch Hereditary because a friend of mine, John Talks, he was like, you got to watch this movie. And I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this movie because I checked out Midsummer and the same guy
uh,
did that. And that movie was so effed up. I was like, I never want to watch another movie with that guy ever again just because it just messed me up for days. For days, I was like thinking about that movie. But
yeah,
I've been
those
told
are those scare. They get into you like cold weather. It's damp. They get into your skin.
they
And
do.
I'm not knocking slashes because like I said, the stuff I enjoy, I really enjoy it. But I don't get the same I'm afraid to go up the stairs after the movie kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Whereas
mean,
when I do,
with slashers too, like because of the Scream effect, I guess, it just when Scream came out, I think everybody just tried to copy that and it most of the slashers like haven't really been as good. The other day I saw a thread actually, it was funny. Somebody was talking about it on Twitter, like we like the new generation, like people we still talk about like Freddie and Jason and stuff like that. Like the new generation doesn't really have this kind of like masked figure other than Scream. We don't really have that new guy that's like the next Halloween guy or like whatever it is. And I think this movie might be it because I've been hearing so many good things about it. In that sense, like that it's got a lot of good kills. Like Jeff Johns gave it a great review.
yeah,
So it's like, or Jeremy, not Jeff Johns, Jeremy
I know what
Johns.
you're talking about.
He gave it a great review, and I think like those kind of things go a long way, especially when it comes to movies these days with reviews. Reviews go a long way when it comes to YouTubers and things
Yeah.
like that. So that's really interesting. And my other question to you is you worked with Patrick Dempsey. What was it like working with the sexiest man alive right now?
Well, it's tough because he's so beautiful that the
Mm.
light that comes off, you find that at the end of the day, your eyes are tired more than they would be from the light. But no, honestly, he's such honestly, he's such a down to earth guy. I'll tell you something about him.
Please.
Well, he's sometimes he's a big star. Sometimes he does his own thing. Other times he'll chat your head off. It just depends, like anybody. But here's one thing that really blew my mind about him. I won't say who these people were, but there's been a couple times in my career where it was time to do my coverage, as I was talking about earlier, where it's like, let's shoot the camera now at Jeff. And suddenly my star that I just did the scene with and gave everything to says, I got to go, man. Pleasure. Shakes your hand, and they put a tennis ball there, and the second AD reads the script. It is what it is, right? It's happening.
Yeah.
Patrick so many times would look at me. I was like, are you good? Is there anything else I need? Is there anything I can give you there like that? I'm thinking, holy smokes, man, this guy is awesome. Because
cool.
Again, a lot of people, when they get to certain levels, sorry, I shouldn't say a lot. Some people, they're like, oh, I'm busy. I got this things to do. I'm not going to feed lines to this nobody or whatever like that.
Sure.
But Patrick was really great that way.
I think that's like a character thing, like with people, just generally speaking. It's not just like actors. I mean, I find that in the YouTube space, you run into that as well. I mean, I think like people run into that in all sorts of areas of life. Like, when you're a certain type of person, you get to a certain level, and then you just kind of think like you're better than everybody else. I'm glad that you didn't have that experience with him, because that's part of sexiness, I think, and that's why I think they probably chose him, is because character and who you are also goes into being seen as a sexy person. It's not just a physical appearance. So that's good to know that he's also a nice man.
Yeah, we lucked out, honestly. This whole cast, everybody got along so well. There's been a lot of friendships made out of it. Like Rick Hoffman is another one. Super guy.
That's cool. That's cool. People are calling me out in the chat because I will say that to me, the sexiest man on earth right now is Henry Cavill. So I was kind of a little bit disappointed in people, because I was like, look, Henry Cavill's alive on the planet. So we need to, just take it back to Henry. But I do appreciate a silver fox as well, which he is, which I believe your co-star to be. And I cannot wait to watch this movie. I am going to watch it just because of you, Jeff. I will tell you this.
I appreciate that.
Now, I'm not going to go into the theater, though. That's the thing, because I will be scared and I will want to cry. So I would need to be in my own home with like blankets and like to be able to like scream and just, go under the covers and stuff, because it's tough. It's tough to be a girl and watch horror movies. Now, okay, my next question to you is, what are you working on next? Do you have anything coming up?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things, and unfortunately, I can't really talk about them. Couple really exciting things in the video game world.
Ooh.
Yeah. Again, I wish I could say stuff, but they'll take
my away. I don't want you to lose it, so don't worry about it. Let me get a couple of these super chats. 201 Studio says for $2, Jeff, what is that animal head behind you? That's a good question.
This is a Smilodon from the La Brea Tar Pits in LA. It's my favorite things. This is a
here. Let me blow you up.
Yeah, people would know this as a saber-toothed cat or a saber-toothed lion.
Yeah, like a saber-tooth.
BioShock guy there. My goggles for Splinter Cell.
Whoa, those are the Splinter Cell goggles. Those are cool. Oh, yeah. That's dope.
I'm a fossil nut, so I love that kind of stuff.
What's your favorite video game?
BioShock.
Ooh.
BioShock this day I could play it 1,000 times. I just love the game and everything about it. In fact, I actually got BioShock stuff, pictures back there, and upstairs in my dining room is the city of Rapture.
Amazing. Aren't they making a BioShock movie?
I've heard forever that they are. It always seems to get canceled once they get into development, but that would be pretty amazing. Although at the same point, so many video games turn into movies and they weren't so good. So
that's true.
I won't get my hopes up, but at the same point, anything to do with that, I've been obsessed with Rapture and the whole concept of the game. Seeing the underwater city to me is like, you look out your window and there's this shimmering. I don't know if you played the game, but there's this shimmering 1920s, almost New York type of city out your window. It's absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, I really love the steampunk kind of like weird looking thing that they created with that too. I think it's a great game as well. I didn't finish it, but I did play it when it came out like originally. It was a fun game. It was a fun game, but I am one of those weird people that get sick off first person shooters.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
yeah,
I get
like I'm
sick
like
watching people. So yeah, I know how you feel.
yeah, it's weird. I can't get into the first person shooters. So I always wish BioShock would like do the third person as well, but I don't think it would have the same effect that they were trying to pull off there. John Burns again for 279 says, "Woohoo, Canadian actors kick butt." Yes, they do. And then John Burns again, Tucker and Dale is funny, but there's lots of gore. I don't know what that is. What? Do you know what he's talking about? Because I don't.
Tucker and Dale, no, that's not coming to me, but I'm sure he'll let us know.
And then he said again for another 279, Nina loves to moon over a crooner as well. I do like handsome men. Okay. I'm very appreciative of handsome men because I feel like I should say handsome anybody, like beautiful women, handsome men. I just appreciate beauty because I feel like that's one of the things that's going on in Hollywood right now is that they're kind of de-appreciating beauty. Like they're taking away the femininity of women and they're taking the masculinity of men and they're kind of like just twisting it and making it all different. So have you noticed anything like that? Like in your experience, do you think like that am I dreaming? Is that not happening anymore? Or what's going on with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I just get the breakdowns I get and I read for them.
You just read it. What was the last Marvel movie you saw?
I think it was a long time ago. Do you know, actually, I was in a Marvel movie.
Ooh, which one?
It was Dark Phoenix.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, it ended up not being cool, but they flew me to Montreal and we had 2 days there, and I had this small but really cool scene with the whole group, including Michael Fassbender. And in the scene, it was the last scene of the movie, and my lines were going to set up a sequel. And so it was incredible. The budget that they had just on that one scene blew my mind, because I think at the time I was still working on Dark Matter, which technically was more of a low budget show. But you go to this thing, you just can't believe what you're seeing. But yeah, it was an amazing time because I got to hang out with those guys. Sort of like Patrick Dempsey, Michael Fassbender and I both raced cars, or I did. He still does, and he's good too. Same with Patrick. So we hit it off and talked like, God, half the day I think we spent talking racing cars and stuff. And then I got a few months after that, they wrote me and said, you did an amazing job, but test screenings have shown that the movie's ending is too much like something else. So they decided to rewrite the ending, and it was completely different, and that was it. So I still got my credit on stuff, but Did
they do any weird like reshoots and stuff like that for this movie for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we did some stuff in the summer, and that's so common now. I don't know. I don't know any real studio movies that don't have some sort of thing because, that's just the reality now. They take them to focus groups and that sort of thing, and they'll, do you guys understand what's happening? Do you, are you following along? What would you like more of? And, when you're talking big budget ones, ours was I wouldn't say ours was a big budget at all. They did a lot with what they did. Still, it's a great film, but, when you get into like those crazy blockbuster level things, it's probably done by committee. A lot of money riding on those things. So if the focus groups are coming back, it's just like a business, right? Businesses do the same thing. Do you like our new brand of Coca-Cola or whatever like that? No, we change it.
It's weird, Jeff, because I keep hearing that like, big giant budget movies like the Marvels is bombing. And I hear about pretty much every Marvel movie that's been coming out recently has been bombing, and because they're spending so much money on making these movies and they're making very mediocre movies. So that's why this movie, like your Thanksgiving movie, is doing so well, because the budget for it was not very much. It was, a small budget, just a regular movie budget, and now it's doing really well in comparison with those big giant budget movies that are, I think most people are kind of, I don't know, maybe they have superhero fatigue, or maybe it's a little bit of a, I don't know. Marvel seems to be going in a really weird direction with the way that uh, they're going with their stories. They're not following their comics anymore. They're introducing like the female counterpart to everything, which is it's become famously known as the MCU. So I think that those things are becoming more and more interesting in the eye of the viewer. And bad writing too. Bad writing, it probably affects everything. And I think that's one of the things that in this movie is got it going for it. And Thanksgiving is good writing. For example, I hear that it's got really funny dialogue, or like, it's got really interesting um things that that people say during the, like, even in the trailer when I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, that is so funny, because the guy was like, he's using he's using what you use in Thanksgiving to kill people, and I was like, oh my
Oh
god,
yeah.
that's really funny. So those things, I think that's important in a movie. Have you done any writing yourself, or any sort of directing, writing, behind the scenes stuff, or are you always just in the actor? An actor?
I mean, I would love to do that, and I guess it's one of those things someday. But I'm not getting any younger. I have wrote full scripts, but I've never really showed them to anybody. I just kind of did it, I think, at the time because I wanted to do it, and I still think the story is a good one. And I have other ideas. It's just I can't even seem to get through the day anymore without being bogged down in something else. Thankfully, a lot of that's work stuff too.
Sure.
I work in voice a lot, like whether it's for commercials or I narrate television shows for Discovery Channel and
That's cool. I
oh
love
yeah,
the
I love it.
Discovery Channel.
I watch that stuff. So for me, it's when I get to do, like, we just finished the last episodes of Secrets in the Ice for season 3. And I
Ooh.
every time I read the scripts, I'm like, oh my god, I love this stuff. I can't wait to see the finished product, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
that's
all about this
cool.
kind of stuff. Things are finding in the ice, and things like that. So
I love
yeah,
history and archaeology and like animals and all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. That's really cool stuff. Now, with regards to like when you became an actor, what were your expectations of becoming an actor versus what it actually entails?
um, when I was younger, maybe, or even when the band, I'd always again hoped that we would achieve a level that good roles would come in. It's hard, especially in Canada. You usually start out doing what they call as actor roles, and it's very competitive. And that's 1 to 6 lines, and you start doing that, and very few people blow up out of that. They
Hmm.
get what they call principal, which is maybe a day on set, more lines. But it can take a long time. It took me a while to sort of break that cycle. I hate to say it, I love the woman, but my old agent was so. As soon as I got another one who was better, I realized, holy smokes, what have I been doing? But
Ah,
I don't mean that as a bad mouth against the person at all. It was just I don't think she's not an agent anymore. Let's put it that way. So
sure.
um,
I mean, the agents is really important.
it's
And
huge. It really is having a good. As soon as I started going to LA, people talked about their team, my team. And, in Canada, we don't have a star system. Which they have in the States. You don't have managers. PR people generally aren't working with you, so it's hard to sort of get yourself out of certain areas. Every once in a while, someone will land a role early on in their career and blow up. But most actors, whether in Canada or LA, they're not making a living wage. They're
that's
lucky
what
if they.
the actor strike was about, right?
It's true. I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, cry me a river," actors, but I mean, the reality is, most actors, if they're lucky, they book a couple jobs a year, and in those jobs, they might make anywhere from $1,200 to $3,000-4,000, and that's it. That's their year. They audition for 500 things, and in Canada, up until self taping, we had to be off book, which means I could get at 7 o'clock at night a breakdown that says you need to learn these 12 pages of dialogue,
Hmm.
4 scenes, 12 pages in the morning, and you have to be in the room and no holding sides, no reading like you do in LA. So it can be a tough job, right? Anyways, I went off on a tangerine there, but
No,
yeah,
it was good.
but it's it is tough for like the average actor. Stars make great money. Working actors can do okay as well. Like I like to consider myself as a working actor. It's been 20 years of it, and I've done all right. I'm obviously everybody wants more. You want to push, but
Sure.
I'm very, very grateful for what I've been able to do. But yeah, it's tough for a lot of actors out there, man. It's
Well, what would be your advice to, like, if somebody wants to go into acting right now, what would be your advice to them?
I guess it depends on the type, but if it was just standard, just acting for television and film, make sure and get yourself some training. It's the same with acting for voice. I always have a couple places that I refer people to that'll ask me. Everybody's got a niece or someone they know that wants to get into it.
Sure.
And I try to be helpful, but also I never want to give them the impression it's going to be just this easy ride. Even if you have a great voice for voice work, or you're some good-looking kid or whatever like that, it's just it's a tough business. It's kind of chews you up and spits you out. Like again, when I was saying about the auditions, we would learn an 8-page overnight. You're exhausted, and you get out of the room, you're full of knots and nerves still because you just did the audition, and you're like, oh man, I can't even believe I got through all those scenes. Hopefully they like it. And then all of a sudden you look at your phone, it's like, you have another one to do tomorrow. Or
Oh my God.
more. Yeah, that's life, And then I say to my kid, I'm sorry, sweetie, I got to go in the basement and learn lines, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. Do you bounce off of like your like, how do you do that? Your wife, or do you have someone that you bounce lines off of? Even your daughter?
What I normally do is I early on I found this app called Rehearsal Pro, and there's other ones like it, but for me, you put the script in there, and then you can record the other person's lines. And
Oh.
I'll read them a few times, and then I'll start talking to that person.
Oh, cool.
Walk around, drive in the car, try to get it in your body.
Right.
The good thing about now, though, is really the only thing this stupid pandemic that we had. The only thing that was good about that is that we were suddenly able to do self-tapes. And I love doing self-tapes because, I don't have to be completely off book. I can, if there's a part on the script I'm having trouble with, I can put a little cheat over there and sort of look at it and if there's a problem. And it kind of takes the pressure off that way. But it's given us more of a life. I don't have to do that 8, 9, 12 pages and be in a place in the morning, ready to rock. I can give them my best take. And the funny thing is that when I first started doing it, I would like do 20 takes, but you always end up picking like the first one or two. So these days I do the first one or two, and I just trust my gut that it was good, and off we go. But,
that's the confidence, right? Like, I mean, at some point I'm a perfectionist, so it takes me forever. Like, if I was to be an actor, I don't think I could ever do that. I'd be like, this is not perfect. You got to do it again and again and again.
You do this, though. I mean, you're presenting yourself and all
that's
that
true.
Kind of stuff. You have to let go sometimes.
You do, but this is more different. This is almost more difficult because it's live. So I'm like, oh my God, if I F up, it's like, there's no second take. I'm canceled.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Oh no.
I'd be a mess.
Okay, here's another question for you, because you've had such a long career. What would be like standout memory off the top of your head, your best and worst memories?
Well, that's a tough one. There's been a lot of highs for sure, and I these days I keep trying to remind myself of that. I can remember one thing. I remember being on the phone with one of my agents in LA, and I had just booked this documentary series to voice, and I'll never forget. I said, Cameron, can you imagine if the guy we were doing the documentary said, can you imagine if he actually heard and watched the show? And I remember she said, Jeff, he chose you. And I just remember being covered in goosebumps. It was Clint Eastwood.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a really great show. It's called Clint Eastwood, a cinematic legacy, or my brain's going on me, but I'll think of it. But when she told me that, I was literally got covered in goosebumps, realizing that, yeah, I guess that was a real high moment because I've been a big fan of Clint Eastwood's ever since I was a kid.
Sure. I mean, it's Clint Eastwood's. Yeah, it's a cinematic legacy. That's what it's called.
Yeah, so I narrated that, and it was, again, a great team of people, and it was, yeah, that was a real treat. Even when the stuff came out, I'd see the credits, and I'm with like, Spielberg and whoever else, and there's my name right there. It was just kind of funny.
Oh, that is really cool. That is really cool. Here's a very interesting question from Russell Hall. For $5, you're offered $1 million to play Justin Trudeau in a Netflix biopic. You have to make him look like the bestest ever. Do you take the role?
I have enough money. Is that a diplomatic way of saying it?
Yeah. The other, I guess, the follow-up question for that would be, would it be in blackface? Because I mean, technically,
Yeah.
like, yikes. He's not been doing well in that country or in Canada, and that's terrible. Terrible. We need a new election.
I call him Zoolander. And the worst of it is that if I want to share this link later and say, hey, watch this interview I did, it was a lot of fun, I don't think I can even share that on social media because they put in this bill, whatever, I forget the name of it.
The bill.
Links and stuff. So, yeah, anyways,
that stuff is really annoying. It really is, because I mean, I have like Canadian friends and family, and it's very difficult, and it's kind of it becomes really difficult to have discussions freely, and especially in a Western country where you think like, you should have the freedom to communicate and say the things you want to say, but you don't, and it's kind of weird that way. Here's another question from 200 Watt Studios. Jeff, did you ever work with Nicholas Campbell?
No, he's one of those guys that's kind of a Canadian legend and always wanted to. I do remember being really drunk at a party that he sat next to me for a while. That was in the 90s or something like that. But yeah, that's my only brush with Nicholas Campbell. He's worked with I think he worked with Roger Cross on Coroner.
That's interesting.
I'll have to ask Roger what he's like. That's the closest degree of separation I think I've had with him.
That's interesting. Here's another question. For $5, Jeff, what style of acting have you studied? I was in the Meisner method.
Meisner method. Yeah. I've dabbled in quite a few different things and went to a lot of different classes. And things change, I found now that I do a lot of the prep, say from Meisner as well, but I don't always have to be in character. I like to put myself as much as I can into it. But there's a great quote, and I believe it was Sir Laurence Olivier talking to Dustin Hoffman, and Dustin Hoffman was freaking out about trying to get into this character, and he was asking the other guy, how do I do this? How do I do that? And they're both considered some of the best actors in the world, but very different directions. And I remember hearing that the one guy looks at the other guy, at Dustin, and said, "Act, man, just act." And to this day, that still sticks with me because I see people putting themselves through hell, with twisted faces, sitting off set, and like don't talk to them because they're in the mode or like that. To me, it's almost like you're not acting anymore. And Roger Cross, the guy I just brought up, he was one of the stars of Dark Matter. Great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah, and I worked with him, and I loved working with him. I consider him one of my best friends. But watching him on set right from the get-go was that him and I, we would talk all the time, have fun, laugh, and then we get to set and do this big emotional scene. And he was able to separate that. And I really love the fact that he was able to, be very emotive in a scene and intense. And then 2 seconds later, he's like hugging the craft person and thanking them for doing something. I thought, that's how I want to be. So I felt the more I left that sort of like method behind, the more I enjoyed my life.
That's amazing. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, he's awesome. And it's weird method acting is weird to me, because I mean, you hear like horror stories, like what happened with what's his name, Heath Ledger, or like certain other people that just really just go into like it goes too much and it goes overboard. So method acting kind of like really creeps me out actually because I'm like I think the part about acting is knowing the difference between like the line like where you are you and where the other person ends, you know, like you have to have that distinguishing factor because if you don't then you're gonna go over the edge and that's never fun. um and that's why I really enjoy your work in Dark Matter because I thought Dark Matter was such a fun it seemed like such a fun acting job for you,
Yeah.
just generally speaking, like and I guess that's my next question is, what is your favorite type of thing to do? Like, do you like sci-fi the best? Do you like voice acting the best? Do you like horror the best? What is your favorite type of, acting?
You know, I don't know how to answer that because I find usually something great in everything I've done. You know, like most of the roles, anyways. I really enjoy doing it. I just enjoy acting. You know, I would love to do more comedy. That's my dream.
Ooh, comedy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I get a lot of like, "You're a funny guy. Why aren't you doing comedy?" from other actors. But then
Sure.
I just don't get the opportunities. It's very few roles I've ever had. Now I've got some new representation in LA right now, brand new, and I'm really excited to work with them. And that's one of the things I said, like, please get me some comedy before I die. You know, I
I
want
you
to.
know, yeah, it's crazy though, Jeff, because I feel like comedy is struggling right now, just generally speaking, as a genre, because of the whole cancel culture situation. I feel like comedy is just really struggling recently to get good movies. Like I haven't had like seen a really good comedy movie in a long time, except for Old Dads with Bill Burr. I don't know if you've seen that. That's on
No, I haven't seen
Netflix.
it.
It's really good. I mean, that makes fun of woke culture, which is really fun. But you don't really get good comedy anymore. I feel like because it's kind of dangerous. Everyone's like, "Oh, I don't want to I don't want to make fun of the wrong crowd or say the wrong thing." It's become kind of I don't know. We need more comedy. Let's just say that. So I hope you do land some sort of comedy role. But what's your favorite comedy movie?
Old school. It's
Old
my.
school.
I could watch that movie 100 times. It's brilliant. That and I love like the Pink Panther movies and things like that when I was a kid.
Which kind of Pink Panther? Like Peter Sellers' Pink
Peter
Panther or
Sellers,
Steve
yeah.
Martin?
Like The Revenge of the Pink Panther is one of my favorite movies of all time. Actually, I have a video of my daughter and I watching that when we were little, when she was very little, and she looked like she was gonna choke to death. She laughed so hard. Like same with
I
Monty Python. It was like,
I did too,
what?
man. Like, I mean, that scene, one of the, I mean, it happened in every movie, but when he's going with, God, what was that Asian guy's name? I forgot the Asian dude's name.
His butler,
Yeah,
Ketu,
yeah,
Keto, or something like that. Yeah,
Kato. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's
nailed
like,
it.
when he would just like jump out of nowhere to like come like get him and stuff. And I was like, oh my god. I mean, dude, hang on, I'll show you.
Well, there's scenes you can find on YouTube and stuff of those.
Look,
Yeah, there you go. Yes,
I'm
you are
telling
good.
you, I'm obsessed with the Pink Panther. So when you said Pink Panther, I was like, oh yes, I just love Peter Sellers, just generally speaking. Like I
Yeah,
think Peter
he's
Sellers
incredible. I just watched Being There on the plane going out when I did the South African Comic Con, and I couldn't believe how amazing this movie was.
incredible movie, incredible movie. Have you ever seen The Party?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's another great one as well. Actually, I've been meaning to watch that again because I haven't watched it in probably a long time.
See that movie, he would get canceled today.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the kind of stuff, right? Well, old school
Yeah.
would be like that too. I actually read somebody pushed me towards a comedy recently, and I thought great. And when I read it, I was like, I don't want to do this.
Oh no.
It wasn't funny because it was so, I don't know, watered down. But I don't know. Hopefully, things are cyclical, and we get some of those type of things back. I mean,
Well, I feel like the table is turning a little bit. Like I feel like that's what I'm saying. Like I just saw Bill Burr's movie. Old Dads just came out. There's just certain things happening in the zeitgeist that I'm like, wait a minute. Like, oh my God, like maybe things are changing. Like today, for example, I found out James Gunn casted like basically everybody for his new upcoming Superman Legacy. And the most shocking thing to me was that the character of Jimmy Olsen, which is famously drawn as a white ginger man is not played by a Black female. It's going to be played by a ginger man. And I was like, wow, he cast a redhead white guy to play this role. It feels like something is changing. And the thing with the casting for Superman Legacy that was really interesting was that every single part of the person that's playing their comic adjacent looks the part. Like they look exactly like their comic book character. And I'm like, this is what all superhero movies or like whatever kind of movie that is representing something else that's already out there should be doing. Like this is the kind of thing that you should be following, is like cast someone that looks like the part. It doesn't have to be, that it's not that hard. And then everything else, like movie magic takes care of, right? Because like, you have makeup artists and you have all these different things that go along with that. Now, what have you experienced with movie magic and like makeup? Like what is the biggest makeup you've ever had to wear?
Nothing too crazy. Like my friend Elias Fexis, he landed a role on Star Trek. I think he was in the chair for like 3-4 hours a day.
Yeah.
That stuff, because he plays an alien. I would love the opportunity. I came close on that show actually to play something. It was an alien. And I was warned, like, you're getting close here, but you're going to be in that chair for, like, I don't know, X amount of hours every day.
Sure.
I can do that. I'll just read or like that. But
oh, you know what? You should totally audition for, if you can. You should totally audition for the Orville, because it's funny. And like season 4, I don't know if they're like casting or whatever. It's funny. It's aliens. It's kind of like, it's kind of like the new Star Trek, basically.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Well,
but I think you would be great on the Orville. I don't see why not.
You're
just great in general. 200-watt Studios for $5 says Marathon Man Nick Cage asked Sean Connery the same thing when they're doing The Rock. Connery says, focus on the primary. Thank you. Thank you, 200-watt Studios. Russell Hall gave us a $2 follow-up. I would play a blackface Justin Trudeau. Of course you would, Russell. Of course you would. And then we got a couple here from John Burns for $2.79. Alan Tudyk and Tyler Labrin and Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I still have no idea what you're talking about, John Burns, but thank you. And then for another $2.79, Reagan got Residuals. They've been then away now. Are you drunk, John Burns? I love you, but are you drunk? For $2.79, Justin was method acting in Marathon Man with Oliver.
Yeah, thank you very much. My brain sometimes goes whoosh.
Okay, at least you understand what he's talking about, because I don't. I love you, John Burns, but oh my God. Jeff, it has been so fun talking to you. Thank you for agreeing to be on tonight. Tell everyone where they can find you. I mean, I got all of your links in the description, but do you have any parting words or whatever you want to say? You have the floor.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I'm on social media a little too much, but I'm on Instagram a lot at Jeff Teravainen at Instagram, and sometimes on Twitter, and sometimes on TikTok. It's part of the job, right? We have to, but that's the fun part, is I actually love interacting with people, and I take a lot of photos and photography and that, so I love posting them there as well. And yeah, that's a fun part. For an old dude to be on Instagram, it's mixed because, it's like so full of bikini models and stuff. That's what people mostly go there for, I guess. But, I'm there and putting stuff out and trying to keep the news up.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And obviously go check out Thanksgiving. It's in the theaters now. And just go check it out. It's going to be crazy. You're going to get scared, but you're going to love it. I've heard really good things. So go check it out. Jeff, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
And guys, thank you for being here as well. Thank you for the super chats. If you super chatted, became a member, gifted memberships, all that good stuff. Thank you. Thank you for the Rumble that rants as well. Raz Monkey, I'm looking at you. And until next time, you guys, have a good one. Bye.